Where is it from? So we are going to go a bit quickly about to finish the cettasikas soon. So we can start the sampayoganaya soon. We are a bit maybe speaking too long the cettasikas. So let's use this book. I have a few books over here. Now we just have to do the sobhana, right? Sobhanacetasikas, right? We did sabbacittasādhāraṇa, pakiṇṇaka, akusala, and now sobhanas. Remember, not kusala, right? Sometimes they are akusala, sometimes they are maybe vīriya, sometimes they are vitakka, but they are always sobhana. So I have this book, which is a translation of the vedanā with a little bit of the commentary. So let's use this. I think it's the best source I have. Here. Sobhanacetasika. Okay. Saddha-sati-hiriyottappa, lobha-dosādicatukka. Sobhanacetasika. Okay. So among the sobhanas, we have sobhanacetasika, right? Sobhanacetasika. Sati. How many? 19. 19 sobhanacetasika. So you have to be able to very easily remember them in order. Saddha, sati, hiri, ottappa, alobha, adosa, tatra, madhata. Kaya pasadi, chitta pasadi. Kaya lahuta, chitta lahuta. Kaya mudita, chitta mudita. Kaya kammanyata, chitta kammanyata. Kaya pagunyata, chitta pagunyata. Kaya uddhacca, chitta uddhacca. Okay. Can you do that? Can you recite one time? Saddha, sati, samadhi, These first should be like this. Then comes the pairs. Then you just have to remember pasadi, and then the three like the rupas, lahuta, mudita, kamanyata, right? Remember? Lahuta is rupa, right? Rupassa lahuta, rupassa mudita, rupassa kamanyata. So here just remember the same order, but it says cetasika, not as rupas, right? So you have kaya lahuta, chitta lahuta. So lahuta, mudita, kamanyata, just like the rupa, kamanyata. Now what is the next? It's a little similar to kamanyata, pagunyata, you see, pagunyata. Okay? And then uddhacca. So kamanyata, these three you remember from rupa, lahuta, mudita, kamanyata. And then the similar to kamanyata, which is pagunyata, no? The nyata is the same. And then uddhacca. So it's not too difficult, I think. Let's do it one more time. Saddha, sati, hiri, ottappa, kaya mudita, chitta mudita, kaya kamanyata, chitta kamanyata, kaya pagunyata, kaya uddhacca. Okay. So this should should be easy, but we're going to do it many times, so let's keep going. So, universal beautiful factor, you can translate them as beautiful, sobhana. Maybe I like the bright translation, bright cetasika. So, bright mental factors could also be bright. So, they are divided in these four groups. What four groups? We have sobhanacetasika, not sabbacittasādhāraṇa. Here it's sobhanacetasika. And then you have what? Vitakka, 3 cetasikas. And then aññasamāna and yīvitindriya in its own category, right? Okay. Faith. Yes, the first of the beautiful cetasikas, faith. Sobhanacetasika is one of the sobhanacetasika, 19 sobhanacetasika. So this book gives us a little bit like characteristic, function, manifestation, and proximate cause. So I think it's a good one to go through. It has a characteristic of placing faith or of trusting. Placing faith, trusting. So here words you have to know. You see, trusting, to trust as a verb. You see, to trust. To place faith. Faith is a noun, so you use the verb to place. Yeah, you place your faith. Place, yes. Like you place something somewhere else. So to place faith in something. To trust. Yes. Function is to clarify. Clarify is to make it clear, no? To make clear, which is to clarify. To clarify the mind. It suppresses the hindrances. It suppresses unwholesome states. That's what sattva does. One of the functions of sattva. Just like a water clearing jam. Remember this water clearing jam?
Simile.
I think this was from the right? I think he has this jam
And put in the
that, yes, you put it in water and it purifies the water. Isn't it?
Money.
Money? Yeah, money. Money. Jam is money. Yes, so this water purifying jam, water clearing jam, it causes muddy water to become clear. So in the same way, saddha causes the muddy mind with defilements to become clear, free from defilements. Or its function, another function is to set forth. You know forth? Forth, to set forth. Is to go forward. Forth is like ahead. To set forward is to go ahead, to go forward. Here in the sense is, not in any sense, here is an example. As one might set forth to cross a flood. So imagine you have a flood in front of you. It's dangerous, but this faith gives you a little bit like courage. You believe. And then because of that courage, you can go. You can cross it. You set forth. You can challenge that difficulty. You understand? So that has some faith. So a little bit connected maybe to courage. Faith.
Yes.
Right? One might set forth to cross a flood.
Set forth.
Yes, set forth. Like a little connected to courage. Yes.
How about bear?
Bear?
College and bear.
Bear? Bear?
Yes.
To bear like a verb?
Yes.
To bear is like to withhold, forbear, to be patient, or to carry something.
Oh, carry.
To carry something.
Take something.
Yes. To bring something with you. You're bearing something.
Okay.
So monks bear robes, you can say. You know, knights bear swords. Monks bear robes. So I think to bear here, maybe no, but for example, believe is certainly connected to saddha. To believe, the noun belief. Belief. Trusting. Okay. So it is manifested, remember, pachupatana, manifestation of saddha, like what saddha brings, or how do you see, how do you experience saddha in meditation. It is manifested at non-fogginess. So you know foggy? Foggy, you know fog. You have to know this noun fog.
Yes.
Then something is foggy is an adjective, full of fog.
Full of fog.
And then this is non-foggy or non-fogginess as an adjective. Non-fogginess.
I thought you said there, not bear, there.
Dare.
There.
To dare.
Yes.
Okay, a little bit. To
Simulate-
dare, a little bit
simulate.
like to set forth. Maybe could be to dare. In good occasions, sometimes daring is used in a bad sense. How could you dare doing that?
How could you dare?
Yes. A
Why?
dare.
Why did you dare?
Yes, like how could you dare doing that? It's like dare in a bad sense. Many times it shows a lack of pīti, lack of ottappa.
Okay.
Another dare can also be a noun. So I dare you to. Sometimes children do that. For example, to do some mischief, something bad. Then you dare your friend. I dare you. I dare you throw something at the teacher or something like that. I dare you.
Like a bet.
Like I challenge you. Like a bet. A little bit like a. It's more like a challenge.
Okay.
I dare you do that.
I dare you do that.
But it could be in a good way to dare, maybe in a good way as well. So it causes the removal of the mind's impurities. That's one of the manifestations of saddha, or as resolution.
Resolution.
Resolution, you understand?
I know solution, but I don't.
Resolution.
I don't know the solution.
Solution is different. Resolution.
Adhitthana.
Like a little bit like adhitthana.
Determine.
Type of determination. Resolution.
Resolution.
The process of resolving, finding. Resolving means to find a solution as well. To resolve could be relaxation, another meaning. But I think here, determined, you see?
Determine.
Yes. Firmness, steadiness, constancy, determination. I think it's more or less this meaning, you see?
Okay. Instead of being, it will be so.
Yes, resolution. Could be many meanings, but it's probably one of these, you see? Resolve, determined. For example, you want to do something, you can. Saddha helps you continue with determination without giving up. People who don't give up, usually we say they have a lot of faith.
Okay.
Right? People who don't give up. They have a faith, they know they can do it, something like that.
Is they have the faith, like
Faith.
one who have the faith.
One faithful.
Faithful.
Yes. A person who has faith is faithful.
Not the faith.
Yes.
Faithful is seem like a adjective. This form.
This is an adjective, faithful.
Adjective.
Yes.
The person who have faithful.
Yes. No, a person who has faith
Who has faith.
is faithful.
The faith.
Okay.
Yes, you could say, for example, faithful devotees. Welcome to IIT. Okay.
Soon.
Faithful devotee. Okay?
Okay.
So resolution, a little bit like determination, but different from the determination which judges the object. Remember, adhitthana is different.
No,
Right.
panitha.
Panidhana is like a wish, no?
Determination. Don't give up.
Making an aspiration, making a wish, setting an intention.
Intention.
I think it's somehow connected, you could say. I think somehow connected. Determination. Because there is the determination of adhitthana, cetasika, which judges the object. judges the object, makes a decision on the object. This is permanent, this is impermanent, this is self, this is not self. But saddha is a different determination, is a type of courage, type of settledness or determination, firmness, yes, steadiness, constancy. A different type of resolution, determination. Pakiṇṇaka is a determination more like a wish, may I achieve this or that, or there is certainly saddha in that. There is certainly saddha, but I think maybe we need to think if pakiṇṇaka is so connected to saddha or not. Certainly connected to saddha. Okay.
Connected with.
One day, can I say like this? As long as I have not finished the vitakka,
Yes.
I will not give up.
Yes. This is like a determination a little bit close to like pakiṇṇaka maybe.
Very resolute.
Resolution. Okay, yes, it's a resolution. Yes. Mindfulness. Oh, wait, let me finish. Proximate cause, remember? Like the dhamma or whatever, what brings saddha, what causes saddha to arise. Something to place faith in. So here the object comes. Remember the objects of saddha? Do you remember this list? Objects of saddha. Objects of saddha. Remember Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, Sika. What is next? Ubbanta, aparanta. Ubbanta, aparanta. And idappa, jayata. Remember, these are all also objects of doubt. Remember? Objects of doubt, also objects of faith, also objects of wisdom, also objects of ignorance. So these objects are quite important, especially when we talk about these four cetasikas. Diṭṭhi, saddha, jnana, and moha. So objects of faith. So the objects themselves are a cause for faith to arise. This could be as a proximate cause, or the factors for stream entry. For example, hearing the good dhamma, listening to dhamma is one, for example, that helps give rise to faith. Another one that is not mentioned here is suffering. Have you ever noticed that people who suffer more tend to have more faith? Have you noticed? People, when everything is okay, they don't think about objects of faith. When things are difficult, when they are experiencing difficulties, then they start having faith. Faith is in another place I saw as a cause for faith to arise is suffering. Suffering puts you in a situation where you look for a refuge. You understand? Imagine you are suffering, you are always looking or hoping for something to help you. Right? So that brings faith more easily. If you go to a person who is suffering and you tell him about Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and Karma and Vitakka, they might listen more, they might believe it more than if everything was okay. You understand? Yes. Dhammapada?
I don't know.
There is one gatha like that in the Dhammapada. Yeah, Buddha Bhagavad. So, okay. Sati. Sati derives from the root meaning to remember. Yes. But It's not just remembering the process of remembering things. There is also saññā involved. But mindfulness is not just remembering things. It doesn't just take past objects. As a matter of fact, it signifies presence of mind. Okay, you could say like that. Presence of mind. So this was saddha. Collapse. Pīti. As pīti, sati. Presence of mind. Presence of mind is like a type of alertness. Alertness. You are awake. Awakeness. It's a type of presence of mind, you can say. People might understand like that. When you are not distracted, you're not forgetful. So non-forgetfulness. But not concentration. Concentration is also like not forgetting. But in a different way. You have to, sometimes the words have to be used in different ways.
Definition of sati?
Sati signifies a presence of mind, attentiveness to the present. For example, you could say attentiveness. I put alertness, attentiveness. Here this book says to the present, but mindfulness also can take past objects, not just present objects. Okay, nowadays there is this tendency to oversimplify mindfulness as attention to the present moment. No. Mindfulness is much more than that. You understand why? It's not correct to say it's just attention to the present moment. First, you can be attentive without mindfulness. When someone is doing unwholesome things, they are also attentive. There's also attention, right? So it's not just attention, but is a type of presence of mind which keeps the mind on a good state. So that's that mindfulness does, that attention does not do. Attention also goes to the wrong side. Mindfulness is a type of attentiveness, type of presence of mind, alertness, wakefulness that keeps you on the good side only. As long as you're mindful, you won't have unwholesome states. Okay, so it's a little different from their attention. Like sabbacittasādhāraṇa, manasikāra, right? But here, attentiveness to the present, I find this a little dangerous only. It is correct, but it is not just to the present. Okay? Please don't define mindfulness like that. Nowadays there is a tendency, I see in places. Nowadays people want to say, what is mindfulness? It's attention to the present moment. It's not.
Not only the present.
No. Can be attention to past.
Yes.
Yes. Past objects, even future objects.
Yeah.
Teacher, sati and sampajanya, how different?
Sampajanya is wisdom.
Sampajanya
is wisdom. Sati sampajanya, like in the sati sampajanya. Yes. It is a mindfulness, sati. Sampajanya is more like a wisdom. Yes. Then there are types of that. Yes. Types of that. According to the māna Sutta. Yeah. So just be careful with this, okay? To the present. Nowadays there is this oversimplification of what mindfulness is. No, mindfulness can take past objects as well. Can take even future objects as well. So mindfulness is not simple attention to the present. Okay? It has a characteristic of not wobbling. Wobbling is like wobble. Wobble is like moving.
Easily.
Not wobbling.
Wobbling.
Dictionary. Fluctuating unsteadily. Unsteadily, you understand? Unsteadily, not steady, not
stable.
not stable. Unsteadily, fluctuating.
Fluctuating.
Yes, changing,
Change.
Here and there.
going here and there. Yes, subject to change, variation, unsteady. Okay, so wobbling is like that. So mindfulness has this non-wobbliness of it. Okay, non-wobbling. Not floating here, it explains. I.e., no, you know this? I.e. explains what you just said. Not floating away from the object. Like something that floats in water might slowly float away. So your mind tends to float away without mindfulness. So it stays on the object. And it stays not only it stays on the object like concentration, but it stays on the object with the right perspective. Right perspective means with the wholesome. Yes, with the right attention.
With the wholesome acts.
Function. Its function is absence of confusion, non-forgetfulness. You see, I already put that on there on the list. Absence is the non-presence. You know, absence
Yes.
of confusion.
Confusion.
Absence of confusion.
Or forget.
Absence of confusion.
Avitakka.
Avipattisara is the absence of remorse. Is different.
Remorse.
Absence of confusion. I think absence is like this. Absence of confusion.
No doubt.
Confusion is more like, yes, is a bit connected usually to moha.
More.
Yeah,
No doubt.
confusion. It is manifested, so what mindfulness manifests as guardianship. So mindfulness is a bit like a guard. So guardianship. Guardianship. A guard. You know a guard?
Yes, guardian
A
of,
guard is a person who is always watchful.
guardian of the
So
galaxy.
you could say watchfulness. I like this. Watchfulness. Mindfulness is watchfulness.
Like man door.
Huh?
Man door.
Main door.
Man.
Like
Man.
The man stay off in front of the door.
Ah,
To guard
doorman. Doorman.
Doorman.
We call them gatekeepers.
Gatekeeper.
Like a gatekeeper.
Gatekeeper.
Like a gatekeeper.
Principle.
Principal?
Gatekeeper.
A principal?
Principle.
Principal is different. Principal is a person in a. Principal is like I think it's this. Principal is like in an organization. Principal is one of the most important. You know,
Yes.
Hiraloka, principal. School head, right? Highest in rank, authority, character, importance, or degree. Chief, main, principal, yes, for example, principal officers in the government, for example. Principal usually is like this meaning, like chief, main.
Sheep. Main. Yes.
Or it could be here other meanings, okay, but this is not what we're looking for. A leader, a chief.
Sheep.
Yeah, I think not principal.
Head.
No, not principal.
Guardian of the galaxy.
It is manifested as guardianship, so it's like a guard. So if your mind is a room, mindfulness is on the door guarding it. Okay. The state of confronting an objective field. Objective field, you understand? The state
State
of confronting.
confronting.
What is confronting? Front, you know front?
Yes.
Yes.
Front is in front of you.
Front.
To confront means to directly face
Okay.
something. Confront. In direct opposition. So the state of confronting an object. Confronting an object. What it means is that when you are mindful, you are you are looking at the object clearly in front of you without forgetting it.
Detecting
Facing it. Facing it.
face to
Yes.
face.
Yes, you are facing it. It's directly there in front of you.
Right face.
Yeah.
Okay.
You understand? You're confronting the object. Mindfulness keeps you on the object.
Yes.
Because of mindfulness, you confront the object. Okay? It's a manifestation of mindfulness. Its proximate cause is a strong perception, theta saññā. Strong perception of the object, for example. Theta saññā. Theta saññā. Strong perception. Strong perception, or the four foundations of mindfulness. Okay. Four foundations of mindfulness, also we could take the objects of the objects of mindfulness are also a cause for mindfulness. Right?
Four foundations.
Four foundations of mindfulness. Remember, kaya upasana satipatthana, vedana upasana satipatthana, chitta upasana satipatthana, dhamma upasana satipatthana. Okay. Hiri and ottacca. We have to go a little quick. Micchasati is the 12 akusala chittas are micchasati. Right?
Opposite one.
Yes. Micchasati, there is no sati in akusala chittas, but they are called micchasati, just as a way of calling, just as a name. But all unwholesome states are micchasati. Remember this? Later we were studying the anga, maganga. Remember magangas? Chapter of maganga. There was samasati, right? Yes, but samasati there was no micchasati, right? Because micchasati is not one dhamma. There is no one dhamma called micchasati. All akusala chittas and cetāsikas are micchasati. Akusala chittas. Huh? It's just a name for the akusala chittas. Simply because of lack of mindfulness. You understand? Because when you have akusala chittas, there is no mindfulness. So just as a name, you call it wrong mindfulness. You understand? It doesn't mean there is mindfulness there. It's just like a wrong mindfulness, just as a name. There is no cetasika like that.
Teacher,
Huh?
when the sati arise, that time paññā arise.
Not necessarily.
Depends on.
Not necessarily. Because sati is sobhanacetasika, right? So it's in all sobhanacittas. Sobhanacetasādhāraṇa. It's in all sobhanacittas. Some sobhanacittas are vīriya, remember?
Yes.
So they have no paññā. So mindfulness sometimes is accompanied by wisdom. But whenever there is wisdom, there is mindfulness. You understand?
We mean sometimes only sati,
But no wisdom. But if there is wisdom, there is sati.
Yeah.
You understand?
yes.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah, no, we
Always, yes. If there is wisdom, you know for sure there is sati. But if there is sati, there may or may not be wisdom.
Jnana vipayukta, jnana
Yes.
sabbacittasādhāraṇa.
Yes, jnana vipayukta, jnana sabbacittasādhāraṇa. Yes. Sati hiri ottacca. Okay, remember we discussed ahirika and anottappa. So here a little like the opposite. The characteristic of disgust, remember? Disgust. Feeling disgust could be in English a little bit like when you see something dirty, something disgusting, you feel disgust. Yeah. So it can be a little like dosa. Okay, but this is a disgust from evil, but it's a right state, it's a good state. Okay? Not like dosa. Not like disliking things. Okay? It's just like shrinking away from those evil things. Okay? So it disgust. So disgust. Shrinking away. Yes. Away from bodily and verbal misconduct. Or moha is fear of wrongdoing.
Wrongdoing.
Yes. Fear is another word you will see. Remember I told you types of fear. There is fear as bhaya.
Bhaya.
There is fear as an object, something that causes fear.
Okay.
There is fear as dosa.
So,
There is fear as jnana.
jnana.
There is fear as ottappa.
Ah.
So different fears. Yeah.
Many kinds of
Yes.
fear.
Remember, for example, I told you about bhaya jnana.
Bhaya, jnana.
Bhaya jnana.
Mhm.
So we are yet to discuss that in detail.
Mhm.
But it doesn't mean you feel afraid. When you are practicing vipassana, you will feel afraid. No, that's not that bhaya.
Mhm.
That's the dosa
Mm.
bhaya,
Mm.
right? So there is different meanings to the word bhaya. But normally in English language or in normal circumstances, if you say fear, it means this state of dosa. Do you understand?
Yes.
So whenever you use this word in English, fear, in a different sense, you have to explain it.
Okay.
Okay? So this is a type of fear of wrongdoing.
Mhm.
Has the characteristic of dread. Dread is another word for fear.
Dread.
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 Yes. Dread in regard to such misconduct. So fear or dread of misconduct. Okay, of unwholesome states, and their result as well. If you're afraid of the results of akusala, this is the ottappa. They both have the function of not doing evil. See? Their function. This is what they do. They don't do evil. They are manifest, what they produce, as the shrinking away from evil. Okay? So people don't do evil things because of ahirika, vīriya, and oddhacca. Yes, shrink away. So when there is an occasion for some misconduct, there is an occasion for killing, an occasion for stealing, and so on. If you shrink away that fear of that action and its results is vīriya and oddhacca, keeping you on the good side. Their proximate cause is respect for yourself, remember, and respect for others.
Respect.
Attagarava, remember, and paragarava. They are proximate causes. These two states are called by the Buddha the guardians of the world. Remember we discussed this about that already. Because they protect the world, no? Lokapala, from falling into widespread immorality. Widespread, you understand? To spread,
Yes, yes.
you know, to spread?
Yes.
To spread widely.
Widely.
Yeah. So widespread here is an adjective.
Mhm.
Immorality, akusala states.
Immorality.
Yes. Unwholesome actions. Widespread means abundant in society. So they protect society, no? People against this widespread immorality. Okay. Alobha. Alobha we discussed already a bit.
Sorry.
Remember when we discussed about hetus?
Sorry.
What?
Which page?
Page is 86 of this book, Comprehensive Manual of Abhidhamma. This book over here, Comprehensive Manual of Abhidhamma. Okay. We have the Pali text, the translation, and a little bit of an explanation based on the diṭṭhi in English. Bhikkhu Bodhi did the general editing. Non-greed, we discussed already, one of the hetus, remember? Janaka hetu, there is four types of hetu. Janaka hetu, jnapaka hetu, sampapaka hetu, and mula hetu. This is a mula hetu, and this is could be called a kusala mula hetu, but sometimes it's not kusala, so it can be called actually better sobhana. Sobhana hetu, right? Sometimes it's kusala, sometimes it's vitakka, sometimes it's kiriya. Non-greed has a characteristic of the mind's lack of desire for its object. Lack of desire. Alobha is a lack of desire. Not non-greed no desire, non-holding, non-attachment. Do you understand?
Yes.
Lack of desire for the object. You still have an object, you can still pay attention to that object, you take that object, but you're not holding to it. So a lack of desire. It doesn't mean like dosa you don't want it, or you want it away. This is the dosa, wants to push it away. A lobha doesn't want to push it away, but it's not grasping at it. Okay? Non-adherence. To adhere is like to stick. Non-adherence. Yes. To adhere is like to stick. Yes. Like a gum, like chewing gum. Like chewing gum, right? If you take chewing gum and you put somewhere, it will stick. So that's like the greed. It sticks, it holds, it's difficult to remove it from the object. So here is this lack of adherence. Like, yes. Its function, like a drop of water on a lotus leaf. So when the drop of water falls on the lotus leaf, it doesn't attach. It immediately, yes, oozes away, flows away, without leaving anything behind, right? So they, even though they touch, they don't hold each other, right? They don't adhere. Its function is not to lay hold, not to lay hold like this. And its manifestation is detachment, non-attachment, detachment. Yes, not to lay hold. It should be understood that non-greed is not the mere absence of greed. Yes, this is important to say when we come to Abhidhamma, right? Non-greed is not just the absence of greed. Remember? Remember, the absence of wisdom is not necessarily ignorance. Remember that? So, this difference we have to see. There are many cetasikas like that. Non-greed or non-hatred is also another one. It is not just the lack of greed, not just the absence of greed. It is a state in itself. This actually exists as a state. So here we say it's not the mere absence of greed. Mere is just. It's not just the absence of greed, but the presence of a positive virtue such as generosity and renunciation. So these are modes of non-greed. For example, generosity. Generosity, if you have to choose what cetasika is doing the generosity, is non-greed. Yeah. Non-greed is like maybe the main factor behind generosity and behind renunciation as well. Okay, so it's this dhamma that arises when we do these things. Non-hatred, adosa. Characteristic of, here, lack of ferocity. We've seen this word already under dosa. Ferocity is like anger, like we use this for animals. Ferocious animals, very angry. Yes. Or of non-opposing. So hatred is like opposition. So adosa is like non-opposition. Yes, not opposing the object. Not opposing, not going against the object. Non-opposition. Lack of ferocity. Function is to remove annoyance. You know annoyance, right? We discussed already. To remove fever. Fever of anger. Fever of defilements. Especially here anger or dosa in general. Causes a type of fever, heat. And its manifestation is agreeableness. People who are very agreeable, they usually tend to have a lot of adosa, right? One mode of adosa is metta, right? Metta is a mode of adosa. There is no metta cetasika here. Metta is a dosa. But a dosa can also be, can also take other objects which are not living beings, and then we don't call it metta. So a dosa is not exactly the same as metta. Metta is a mode of a dosa. A mode. We use this word mode. Yes. Metta is a mode of a dosa. Metta only takes paññati, satapaññati as object. Satapaññati as object, right? The concept of living beings, metta. Other objects, for example, then we have also kanti is also a mode. Is a mode of a dosa as well. Yes. Kanti. So agreeableness. You understand agreeableness?
Yes.
You understand or not? Agreeableness.
Agree.
Agreeable. Something agreeable is like.
Whatever.
Agreeable is like a little bit like pleasant, huh? Desirable, pleasant. Yes, likable. Something that is likable, agreeable. It agrees. It's easy to, for example, a person who is agreeable, it's easy to stay with that person. Agreeable, it's likable. Okay? So agreeableness as a noun. Just think of a person who has a lot of metta, who is never angry, and he is usually very easy to stay with. There's no opposition, there's no fighting, no friction. The friction of dosa. So non-friction. Friction, you know friction, no? This is friction. Friction. When two things like rub each other forcefully. So this is friction. So a dosa there is a certain non-friction in it. Non-friction. So non-hatred comprises such positive virtues as loving kindness, metta, gentleness, amity, being friendly, you see, friendliness, etc. So all these good qualities are connected with a dosa. When non-hatred appears as the sublime quality of metta, has a characteristic of promoting the welfare of others. This is under metta, you see. Specific of metta. The function of metta is to prefer their welfare. It manifests as the removal of anger towards beings, and its proximate cause is seeing beings as lovable. So if you are a person who wants to develop metta, you can try to develop this perception of the agreeableness of beings. Try to see the good side of beings. Try to see their good qualities. Don't focus too much on their faults. Yes. Okay. Neutrality of mind. Tatra majatata. This is a very important and profound cetasika. Important in tatra majatata. Important in higher stages of meditation. It means there in the middleness, the state of being in the middle, kind of like in balance. Yes, tatra majatata. It's a synonym for equanimity, uddhacca, but not as a vedanā, you see, not as a neutral feeling. So be careful here. Neutrality of mind is not the neutral feeling. Tatra majatata, there is this equity, this word equity, and equanimity, but not as a vedanā, not as a feeling. So it's not feeling, not a feeling, okay? Sometimes it can arise together with uddhacca vedanā. Okay? It's a synonym for equanimity, but not as a feeling, as a mental attitude of balance. Detachment, but not the detachment of a lobha. Even though they arise together. So we have to try to differentiate them. And impartiality, this is an important word. Impartiality. A little bit maybe connected to samanatata. Right? I think it's a connected term. Impartiality. Being impartial is being maybe free from likes and dislikes, you could say, impartial. Person who is impartial, neutrality, being neutral. Understand? This helps you being leads to non-biased behavior. Non-biased. For example, a person who doesn't have enough tatramatata, he will like some people too much. He will favor them. He will dislike some others too much and will disfavor them. So his behavior will be biased. Yes. Agati. Chanda agati, dosādicatukka, moha agati, and agati. So they are connected because of a lack of tatramatata. Tatramatata keeps you in the middle and it helps balance the mind. Sometimes even the mind is wholesome, but it becomes unbalanced. In meditation this happens, you can experience it easily. Even though the mind is wholesome, it starts, sometimes the factors start becoming imbalanced. And then if tatramatata and mindfulness are not strong enough, then it won't be able to remain in a good state. It will fall into unwholesome states. Yes. So in more detail you can analyze if one factor is too much. For example, if vīriya is too much, even though in a good mental state, if vīriya is too much, then you will fall into restlessness. Right? So such states need also a certain balance. Tatramatata helps achieve this balance. Not vedanā. It's not experiencing the flavor of the object. You can have this balance and still have happiness. And still have a pleasant vedanā. Understand? It's more subtle than vedanā, more profound. And it does the job of keeping your mind in balance. Impartiality. Check this word if you don't know. Another related word is partial. Partial. It comes from part. It's a difficult cetasika to understand. It's a synonym for equanimity, but not as a feeling. It has the characteristic of conveying, giving, bringing consciousness and the mental factors evenly. Okay? So evenness, maybe. Evenness. Yes. Evenness keeps your mind even. No factor is too strong. Even good factors. Even among good factors, for example, it balances them. Doesn't let one become too strong. Evenness. Its function is to prevent deficiency and excess, you see? So it's closely related to, so here, preventing deficiency, like weakness, lack of something, and excess, too much of something. Even good things, okay? Even good things. To prevent partiality. Partiality. Being partial. You can check this on the dictionary. Being partial. Let's see what it says.
Sorry, it's meaning equals treatment. Equals treatment.
Equal treatment.
Treatment.
Yes, it's connected to equal treatment.
Or fair.
Or fair treatment.
Fair treatment.
Fair treatment, I would say, is better than equal treatment, because some people may think equal treatment or equality is treating everyone the same. So that's a mistake. You treat your teacher the same as you treat your student. It's different. So that's not a lack of tattramajatata. Is understanding how to treat people and fairly and justly. You do not treat people better because you like them.
Yeah.
You do not treat people bad because you dislike them. You understand? So that's impartial behavior. Partial behavior will will give favors. You will favor those you like, disfavor those you don't like. So that's a lack of tattramajatata. Yes.
Teacher, you mean aggadik? Aggadik.
Yes, aggadik. Yes.
Partiality.
Sorry?
Partiality. Partiality. Aggadik.
Bias. Bias.
Like a biased behavior.
Yeah, it means
Like I said chanda gati, dosādicatukka, moha gati, bias. You treat people in different ways, but because of liking and disliking, or because of greed, or because of hatred. So that's a lack of tattramajatata. Okay. Here, partial in the second sense, inclined to favor one party in a cause, or one side of a question, more than the other. Bias, you see? Not indifferent. For example, a judge, yes, a judge should have a lot of tattramajatata, even if he's judging his son. Do you understand?
Yes.
Yes. So he cannot let his liking for that person or his disliking for another affect his judgment. You understand? So that tattramajatata is important there.
Just it should not.
Yeah, to be impartial. It's a very, very high quality, very difficult quality. I think the last parami, uddhacca parami, is closely related to this, strengthening this, having impartiality towards beings. And one theory behind the paramis is that they are in order of difficulty. Dana is easier, then sila, a little harder, nikkhamma is a little harder, aññā is a little harder, so on. Then the last one is uddhacca.
Harmless.
It's very difficult. It's a very difficult thing to be completely impartial. It requires a certain amount of not caring too much, not caring too little. It's a very difficult balance. If you care too much about something, you will fall into a biased behavior and it will affect you. If you care too little, then another problem. So we have to, even to, when you develop samatha, you have to develop this at some point. Samatha strengthens this quality. Once your mindfulness is strong enough, you can stay on the object. But then it starts another process of suppressing hindrances and strengthening the jhana factors. And then tattramajatata has to come and balance your mind. And then you have to not care too much, not care too little. Yes. So it's a very difficult virtue to develop.
To
Yes.
maintain the statement.
A little too long, maybe. It's the state of looking on with equanimity in the citta and cetasikas, but not feeling.
Vedanā.
Like a charioteer, okay, imagine like a charioteer who looks on with equanimity at the horses that are going evenly along the way. They are going the right way, so okay. It's like, yeah. Everything is going, yes, going well, going the right direction. Neutrality of mind becomes the sublime quality of equanimity towards living beings, you see? upekkha brahma vihara. What I just said. Upekkha brahma vihara is not that upekkha. We call upekkha brahma vihara, right? That upekkha is not the upekkha vedana, even though it has upekkha vedana. That chanda has upekkha vedana. But the factor there that is referred to as upekkha is the tattramajja. Yes. Anyone can have upekkha towards living beings. Vedana, upekkha vedana. Anyone you don't know, you have upekkha vedana towards those people. Most of the time. You understand?
Yes.
So that's not so difficult. But having impartiality, especially towards living beings that are very close to you, or those that are your, let's say, enemies, very opposed to you, that's the tattramajja, that's the upekkha. So when a person comes to kill the bodhisattva, that's this tattramajja, or sometimes metta, depending on what he's developing, but it keeps him from getting angry at that person, or from mistreating that person, or from liking that person too much. Okay. It treats beings free from discrimination, without preferences or prejudices. This is another word. Without preferences, without prejudice. Prejudice, you can check this word, is a good word. Prejudice. Looking upon all as equal. This doesn't mean everyone is equal. No, some people are wiser than others, some people are more virtuous than others. That doesn't mean you think everyone is the same. Okay? The worldly-minded indifference. Okay, wait. This equanimity should not be confused with its near enemy. Near enemy is the worldly indifference. So when something happens, for example, I think maybe an example is, for example, you see, it's a little difficult. When there is someone suffering, for example, and you see that person and you feel indifferent, you have no thought of helping or no. It's difficult. It's difficult to explain it. Indifference to people in a bad way. You don't care enough. You don't care enough about others, about not only when they're suffering, but suffering is just one example. You don't care enough. Indifference. So people who have this a lot of indifference, good and bad things don't matter too much to them. They are not happy for others too much, and they also don't suffer for others. This type of indifference. So to some extent, that indifference is a wholesome quality. But sometimes there is this worldly indifference, which is not caring enough. Do you understand? So then it's a near enemy. It's something that, it's a mental state that looks like tattramajja. So yeah, be careful if you, for example, you read this, okay, I need more tattramajja for things not to affect me. Things affect us too much because of a lack of tattramajja. But it doesn't mean you have to start not caring about things too much. Oh, I don't care. I don't care. Then you will fall into this near enemy. Okay?
It's another cetasika?
No, it's not another cetasika, it's just a state of indifference, like not caring too much. Cannot pinpoint as a cetasika here. Here they express it as this worldly minded indifference. Due to ignorance, okay? Due to ignorance. Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. Or I don't care because you don't understand enough.
Yes.
So near enemy is a worldly mind or worldly minded indifference. Okay, due to a lack of understanding, you see, or due to ignorance.
Ignorance.
It's a little subtle, no? This cetasika. Yes, I agree. Next 12. Okay, the next ones You have 6 pairs, you know, you have pasati, lahuta, mudutta, kamanyata, and pagunyata, and uddhacca. Pairs, no?
Yeah.
So kaya refers to the cetasikas, and chitta refers to chitta. But the Magavihari told us when we were discussing this that there are some ideas also that I don't know. Some people hold the idea that the cetasikas maybe should be one. Kaya and chitta, for example, pasati, should be just one. Because why the cetasika only affects chitta? Why it's the tranquility of only chitta? Why not tranquility of cetasikas? So we had a discussion about that. But the standard that we follow is that there are 2 cetasikas. One is responsible for the tranquility of chitta. The other is responsible for the tranquility of cetasika. Okay? That's the standard. So the mental body kaya here doesn't mean your body like rupa. Okay?
Yes.
Kaya pasati is not the pasati of rupa. It's kaya is the body of cetasikas, namakaya. Okay? Pasati. Tranquility has the characteristic of quieting down disturbances. Darata. Quieting down. Okay, we have pasati. Okay, both together. Quieting down disturbances. In the mental body and consciousness, respectively, each one. Its function is to crush such disturbances. It destroys, it breaks down these disturbances. It manifests. What it brings is peacefulness and coolness. See? Coolness, remember, is usually referred to as a state of a lack of defilement. Nibbana is also the cooling down, right? Extinguishing of the fire, of the burning of defilements. So here is also a type of coolness. Okay, peacefulness, you know this. Coolness, you know this. Its proximate cause is the mental body and consciousness, okay, the objects. Or actually here I think are sahajata. Sahajata, so it's not object, okay? Not the object of pasati. Proximate cause here is the associating dhammas, you see? The mental body of other cetasikas and the chitta, consciousness, sahajata, in the same kalapa. It should be regarded as opposed to defilements such as restlessness and worry, which create distress. So it's the opposite of restlessness and worry. Remember, this is a hindrance, no? So the opposite of uddhacca nivarana. Yes, pasati. Lightness, lahuta. Twofold lightness has the characteristic of subsiding, like going away, of heaviness. Heaviness. It sounds like rupa, okay, but it's not rupa. Heaviness in the mental body, you see? This heaviness caused by hindrances as well, by unwholesome states. Remember, we make some comparisons. We say māna and diṭṭhi causes stiffness, rigidity in the mind. Mind cannot change, cannot move, it's not flexible. Remember? And the opposite is mudutta, it's coming later. So here the heaviness of the mind is the opposite of this lightness. And its function is to crush heaviness. Okay? It is manifested as non-sluggishness. Its opposite of, you see, sloth and torpor, which makes us heavy. The elephant, remember? Lahuta. So it's the opposite of thinamida. The opposite of thinamida, which creates this like sensation of heaviness in the mind. Okay? So it removes this heaviness, makes it subside. Mudutta. Mudu is like Flexible, right?
flexible.
It's flexible. It's like a flexibility of mind.
Flexible.
Twofold malleability. It's malleable.
Malleable.
So malleable is the adjective. Malleability is the noun. Malleability is the noun. We need the Oxford 3000 for Abhidhamma, right?
Maybe then more.
Huh?
Maybe then more 3000.
Maybe
Then
more than
more
3000.
than 2000.
Twofold malleability has the characteristic of subsiding of rigidity. You see, stiffness, tamba. This tamba caused by what I said. So subsiding of tamba. Tamba is like rigidity, stiffness, stiffness. Its function is to crush that rigidity. Okay, not rigidity in the body, but rigidity in the mind. It is manifested as non-resistance, flexibility, can change, can go to different objects easily. And its proximus cause is the mental body and consciousness, okay? Sahajata. And it should be regarded as opposed to diṭṭhi and māna, you see. Opposed to diṭṭhi and māna, which create this rigidity. Good. Mudita. Kamanyata. Kamanyata. Wieldiness, right? Twofold wieldiness has a characteristic of subsiding of unwieldiness. Okay, its opposite, akamanyabhava, in the mental body and consciousness. Function is to crush this unwieldiness. It is manifested as success of the mental body and consciousness in making something as an object. So without enough kamanyata, it's difficult to make something as object. So this is, for example, like imagine your mind being able to go to objects fast, quickly, sharply. So the success in making something as object, okay? Expressime causes the mental body and consciousness, which are sahajata, should be regarded as opposed to the remaining hindrances, okay? Opposed to the remaining hindrances, which create this unwieldiness of the mental body. Which, okay, so success in making or in taking an object. Success in taking an object. Proficiency, pakiṇṇaka. Remember, after kamanyata, the next one is also aññata, you see? Ñata. Okay? Proficiency, twofold proficiency. Kamanyata, pakiṇṇaka. Healthiness of the mental body and consciousness. Healthiness. Its function is to crush unhealthiness. Function is to crush unhealthiness, which is the opposite, manifested as absence of disability. Disability, you understand? Disability? Yes. For example, a person who has a disability, for example, he cannot walk properly, or his limbs, some problem, he lost an arm, for example, or something like that. So a person who has a disability, sometimes mental disabilities. So the absence of disability of the mind. So defilements are a little bit like disabilities, a little bit like diseases, right? Remember we discussed, I remember, for example, māna was compared to madness. Being crazy, like māna. It's a little bit like madness, right? So these defilements are like diseases. So pakiṇṇaka is this state of healthiness of the mind. Should be regarded as opposed to the lack of faith and so on, which cause unhealthiness of the mental body. So opposed to the lack of faith. I don't know, and so on. I don't know what is the rest. Faith is probably the bright states, right? Saddha, sattya, vīriya, anottappa, and so on. I think so. Uddhacca. Uddhu sometimes with one J, sometimes with two J's. Uddhacca. I'll put as a book. Uddhacca. Uddhacca. Rectitude, you know? Straight. Something straight. Yes? Like straight. The straightness of mind. You know, a person who is very straightforward, is not crooked. Defilements make the person and the person's behavior crooked. Not straight, right? We feel it in this way, right? We explain it in this way. So uddhacca is the straightness of mind. The characteristic of uprightness. You see, uprightness. Uprightness. Function is to crush tortuousness. Tortuousness is crookedness. Tortuousness is crookedness. Like crookedness. Crookedness is like something which is not straight. Crooked. So if someone doesn't have a good behavior, we say he may have a crooked behavior. Someone with crooked ways. For example, thieves, criminals, they have crooked ways, crooked behavior. Understand? Not straight, not fair, not honest. Tortuousness. Okay. That's another word. Tortuousness. Here, non-crookedness, proximate cause is the same, should be regarded as opposed to hypocrisy and fraudulence. Hypocrisy is like saying one thing and doing another. Okay? Hypocrisy, saying one thing and doing another. What is hypocrisy? Good. What? Saying one thing and doing another. I hope you're paying attention. So hypocrisy is opposed to this. Okay? So opposed to hypocrisy, saying one thing and doing another, or fraudulence. Fraudulence, also like, this is the type of behavior you would expect from criminals, from outlaws. You know, an outlaw is a person, is a person who doesn't live by the law. An outlaw, criminal.
No rule.
Yes. So this hypocrisy and these states create this crookedness. Yes. Okay. So now we'll take a few minutes, 5 minutes, and we continue with the vidatis. Okay, vidatis. Sama vaca, sama kamanta, sama adhiva. Viso vidatiyo nama. You don't want to memorize Abhidhamma Sangha? I think it's a good one to memorize. You recite it and you review the entire Abhidhamma, almost. I mean, to some extent. No, it's summarized, but it's a nice. I think it's nice. Yeah, I did only the first chapter, but I still, if I have enough time, I would like to do this. Okay, Viratis. They are responsible for deliberate abstinence from wrong conduct. You see? Deliberate. What is this? Deliberate. Deliberate. No. Viratis. Samavacha. Deliberate means purposeful, intentional. Deliberately, yes. You like intentionally, purposely. You understand? Deliberate abstinence from wrong conduct. Okay, when they occur, we'll discuss this later. So they occur when you purposely avoid misconduct. Or when you undertake precepts. So on these two occasions they arise. And then there is a third occasion. So these two are worldly, lokiya chittas. Either you are abstaining from unwholesome deed, that in a situation where an unwholesome deed is possible. For example, someone asks you a question and you don't want to say the truth. So then that's like an occasion for a lie, right? It's like there is an opportunity for a lie, you understand? But you decide not to lie. Then that's when the virakti occurs in your mind. Okay? Not when you're just talking about saying the truth all the time. Virakti doesn't arise. Only arises when you purposely avoid the misconduct. Do you understand the difference? This is why deliberate. This is one situation when it arises. Another situation is when you purposely undertake like precepts. Okay, I undertake the precepts of abstaining from killing. And at that time, in those chittas, this arises. Okay, so on these two occasions. Not when you are simply doing damage. There is no virakti. You understand? Yes. Yes. Or when you have already taken precept of not killing, okay, next day, for example, there is no occasion for killing or nothing, you're not thinking about the precepts, then there is no virakti. Yes. No virakti. Okay? Then the third occasion is when there is a māna. It occurs with the lokuttara chitta, right? Then they occur in a different way. You are not avoiding unwholesome. You're not avoiding unwholesome. You're not deciding to avoid unwholesome. Then they arise to cut off the possibility of doing unwholesome in Magga and Phala, Viratis. So like a different function. And they only arise together in the Magga Phala, in the lokuttara chittas. In the lokiya chittas, they are always separate. You cannot have samavacha together with samakamantra or samavacha or samājiva. Either one of them arises. Okay. Three types of virakti. Natural abstinence, sampatta virakti. The absence from evil deeds when an opportunity arises to engage in them due to consideration of one's social position, age, level of education, or so on. Whatever is the reason, you decide not to do something when there is a chance to do it. Okay? For example, refraining from theft out of concern that one's reputation would be hurt. Okay? For example, sampatta virakti. Sampatta because it's an occasion that occurred, it's a situation. You're really on that situation. And you abstain. Samādhāna is like taking the precepts. Samadhana vidathi. Okay. It's the absence from evil deeds because one has undertaken to observe precepts. Okay. And the samucceda vidathi is the margapala that I told you, that associates supramundane path, which arises eradicating the dispositions towards evil deeds. You see? Path eradicates defilements, right? So the vidathis occur in that path to eradicate the disposition. It's not a specific action. You're not at that time purposely avoiding lying or something like that. It arises to remove, to eradicate the disposition towards lying, the disposition towards killing and so on. Okay. Samavacha. Right speech, deliberate abstinence from wrong speech. This is right speech. So when you're saying, for example, you're teaching Dhamma, some people may think right speech, right? Actually, right speech is when you abstain from wrong speech. It's a little different. So now, for example, if you discuss Dhamma or you give a Dhamma talk, some people may think, yeah, right speech. But in terms of vidathi, yes, it is right speech in a sense, no? But in terms of cetasika, it is not. Cetasika is when you purposely abstain from wrong speech. Then it's right speech. Automatically. When you abstain, for example, the situation I said, like of the lying, is a situation where it's difficult to lie. It's difficult to say the truth. You may want to lie, and then you purposely, deliberately say the truth, or at least abstain from saying a lie. Then samavacha occurs.
Speech.
Yes. So deliberate abstinence from false speech, slander, harsh speech, and frivolous talk, right? Usavada, visunavacha, parusavacha, sampapalava. Samakamata is the same for panatipata and adhinadana and kamyasumicachara. And samajiva is only with regard to your livelihood. So it can be also killing or stealing, for example, but if it is related to your livelihood, as your job, your career, your occupation, then sama ajiva occurs. A little different. Yes. It's not, sama ajiva doesn't refer to things that happen one time. It's your job. It's what you do almost on a daily basis. Okay? So abstention, when it comes to this, it's samāhaji.
Occur?
Huh?
Is occur when you do the right job.
No.
But only you decide.
No. These, they occur when you abstain from the wrong job.
And
You understand?
after you abstain, then you doing the right job.
Then this doesn't
Then
occur.
it's okay. Doesn't occur.
Doesn't occur. Yes, doesn't occur.
Only the time, like the time to you determination
Yes.
between like
When you make a right decision, when you have an opportunity, for example, you're a businessman, okay, and then suddenly there is a great opportunity to make a lot of money by selling fish. For example, you have to, but then you would have to kill a lot of fish. So then you might make a decision not to do that, for example, and engage in another type of business. So then that abstention from killing is under sama ajiva, not under sama kamanta.
But Bante, yes, if someone already kills and
Someone already killed in the past.
already killed, and we took from that place and sell to other person.
If it's already dead,
Already.
the animal, then just selling meat, you mean?
Also, right livelihood or wrong?
Wrong livelihood, I think it's okay. If it's already dead, you just resell it. I think maybe it's okay. The problem is the person who sells meat, he has to call the slaughterhouse, people who bring him meat, and ask for more. Do you understand? So it's difficult to sell meat without asking for more meat. Do you understand? If you are somewhere down in the process where you're simply selling, there is no asking for more meat, for example, I think it could be okay. Selling animals for slaughter, for example, is directly given here, for example. Yeah. Slaughter, you know, slaughter. Slaughter is a euphemism for killing. An euphemism for killing, you know, euphemism? An euphemism, Euphemism is a softer word to avoid a strong word. Okay? An euphemism. So slaughter is kind of like a euphemism for killing. The killing of animals, usually. Slaughter. So selling animals for slaughter, dealing with that, would be a wrong livelihood, you see. With slaves as well. Weapons, including, especially weapons, not any tools, weapons, designed to hurt. So maybe bows and arrows and guns and bombs. So people who make bombs, people who sell bombs. So such weapon dealers is a huge market. America is, I think, number one in this. They make a lot of money selling weapons. Yes.
And then
So that's wrong livelihood. Yes. Intoxicants is another, not any type of drug, but intoxicants, drugs, poisons, not medicine. Medicines are good. Even though medicines, if you take too much, you may die. But that's not the purpose. That's not what it's designed for. Almost anything, if you take too much, you will die, even water. So that's not included, of course, but poisons, some things that are just to hurt, you know. Okay.
Teacher, how about people they play the lottery?
Lottery?
Sama Ajiko.
I think they don't do that as their job. It's not their job, you know. It's like this one. I feel like it's one of like the conditions for decay, for downfall of people. Gambling, drinking, and gambling are usually conditions for the downfall of people, for losing money and so on.
But not included here.
But I think it's not included here because it's not something you do as a livelihood. Unless some people are, for example, poker players, for example. I knew a guy who paid for his entire university by playing poker. He was a very good poker player, so he could make money, and he paid for his studies like that. But I don't know if that's samadhi or not, but it's certainly a dangerous one. You can lose money and you can.
Like singer people also.
Singer? Singers?
yes, singer.
Is the occupation of them is related.
I don't think that would fall under wrong livelihood.
I think
Livelihood is, I think it's livelihoods that are connected with the 5 precepts mainly.
Yeah.
So singing, I don't think it's that bad. Of course there is some unwholesome, especially depends on what you sing, depends on what you dance, depends on what you, even actors as well, right? Depends on what you're doing. I think there is like a lot of variation. But if what you're singing, if what you're acting is quite lustful, for example, or a lot of lobha, or it spreads wrong ideas, so it can be very unwholesome, I think. But it can also be quite bright. I feel like it could be quite good as well, depending on what you're doing.
Some song encourage.
Some songs are very, very violent. For example, we see, just as an example, the Columbine shooting. Columbine, I think it was the name. It was a school in America, of course in America. And then two boys, young teenagers, they took guns, which in America are quite easy to find and buy, and they just entered the school, closed the door, locked the door, and started shooting everyone. Yeah. So before doing that, they were listening to Marley Manson. Yeah, I mentioned one of these classes recently, Marley Manson.
Yes.
He's a musician, singer, but it's very dark, if you look what he's saying, it's very dark, you know, so it can affect especially young people. So I think that could be very unwholesome. But we cannot generalize, like all singers or all actors. Yeah, I think we cannot generalize so much nowadays. Okay, so these are the vidatthis. Their function is to shrink back from evil deeds, you see, their own respective evil deeds. So samavacca shrinks away from false speech. Samavacca shrinks away from slander. Okay, you should understand it in this way. They shrink away from their respective deeds. They are manifested as the abstinence from such deeds, the non-performance of those deeds. Approximate cause are the special qualities of faith, anottappa, fewness of wishes, etc. Should be regarded as the mind's aversion to wrongdoing. So it's a little bit, if you just look at these words, it sounds a little bit like the hiri and ottappa as well. You see? Aversion is like fear or dread or disgust at evil. So it's a little bit like that, a little close to that. Any new words here for you? Aversion?
Teacher, you think playing the lottery, no problem.
I think it's not wrong livelihood. I think it's not. But I feel like it, as I told you, it's like gambling is like it's like a typical cause for downfall of man. Like it's something dangerous to engage in. Yes. But a person who goes and gambles one time on a casino, that's not wrong livelihood for sure. It's just not good, not leading to growth. You know, like it's not constructive. Not constructive. Maybe, yes, it leads to downfall, yes. Okay, apamanya. So you know the illimitables, why are they called illimitables? You know? Illimitables. Why? No limit. No limit. So why are they limitless? You can say limitless. Why? Because they take living beings as object. Only living beings as object. Okay? Only living beings as object, and living beings are infinite, limitless, right? Remember? What are the things that are limitless? I think it was limitless. Space was limitless. Living beings, limitless.
Water,
No.
sky,
No. Akasa. Maybe world systems. And omniscience. Omniscience. I think there were 4 limitless things. According to my memory. So these illimitables, these apamanya, take living beings as object, and living beings, so as an object, are limitless. Right? So normally we talk about, under this subject, we talk about the 4 Brahma Viharas, right? What are they? Yes, metta, karuna, mudita, uddhacca. Now remember, uddhacca is the tattva cetasika. Yes. So they take beings as object. But here we only have 2, karuna and mudita. Why? Because metta is a mode of adosa, right? We are studying cetasika, so only individual dhammas. So metta is adosa, and the uddhacca is the tattva. Right? Taking living beings as objects. You cannot have metta for a table. Yeah, you cannot have metta for the tree. Oh, I love the tree. You cannot.
Some people they love.
Only living beings. Yeah, only living beings.
I have
To the dog, yes. Any living being.
Non-be.
Huh?
Non-be.
Non-being. Like inanimate thing. Inanimate things you cannot love IIT. You cannot have metta for IIT. You can have metta for those who live in IIT. Okay. Yeah. So because those 2 are those cetasikas, adosa and tattva, so here we only have 2, karuna and mudita. Okay. Let's see karuna. Okay, what does it say here? Immeasurables. You see, you could also translate them as immeasurables. Immeasurables. Yeah, so because they take living beings as objects, they have a potentially limitless range. Objective field is potentially limitless. They are called Brahma Viharas because many Brahmas dwell in these states as well. Right? This is another meaning, another reason why they are called Brahma Viharas. They can be called the divine abodes. Divine, or you could say Brahmic abodes. Is it big enough? I can make it bigger. Brahmic or divine abodes. Or you could also say abidings. Abidings. Okay, the cetasika is okay. Yes. Okay. So compassion, karuna, has the characteristic of promoting the removal of suffering in others. So karuna, promoting, promoting, you have to be able to learn these words, these expressions. It will help you explain these dhammas. Promoting the removal of suffering in others. Okay. Its function is not being able to bear